Hi, I'm Amanda Skelton, an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator, and today I'd like to show you this card. I think it's quite nice and fresh and bright with these nice pastel colours. I'll do it in a slightly different colourway on the one that I'm going to do today, but it's really nice and bright, and the good thing about it is using free products. So the main image that we're going to use is from the Driving By set, and this is free with a sale-a-bration event. So with a £45 order, you can get this set completely free, which is brilliant. For these dots here, I'm going to use this image, it's a slightly different image to that. I'm going to use this image here from the Colour and Contour set. And then, I don't know if you can tell, it's probably easier to see on here, you can see that this front piece, this background is embossed. So we're going to use this brick and mortar embossing folder. So it's quite a thick one, this one, but it's quite a nice one to use. So what should we do first? Let's do the embossing. Let's do that. So we're going to use our cut and emboss machine. Now, because this is quite a thick folder, so you've got your layers here. So we want to get rid of the one white layer and one clear layer, and then what I've got here is a piece of just fairly thick card, which isn't as thick as either of the other layers, just to add the thickness that will allow the embossing folder to go through. Otherwise it's too thick. And because you can use different makes of embossing folder in this machine, you might want to use something like a layer like this just to get the right thickness for you. You can tell if it's going to resist too much, it's not going to go through, but if it goes through too easy, it's not going to emboss. So you want to get it just right, so you can play with layers of card just to get that right level. So what you're going to need is a piece of half a piece of A4 coloured card. So this, I am using the pale papaya cardstock, and then I've just scored it in half, so that's just half a piece of A4. Then you want a piece of white cardstock, and that needs to measure 3.5 inches by 5 inches. Then you want a small piece of card for a sentiment. So sentiment here, I've got a different sentiment that I'm going to use, and then a piece of ribbon. So this is the really nice, it's called open weave ribbon. So it's really nice, this one, it's got this nice edging on it. And they have that in different colours. So I'm going to use the soft succulent colour to go with my colour theme. So what we want to do is get the embossing folder. So remember that often the patterns on here are directional. So we're going to be having our card up this way. So we want the bricks to be going across like this. So you need to make sure that it is going to do that. So you could either put the embossing folder that way, but that would work if you were going to do it landscape, or you can put it that way and then the bricks will be going across. Okay, so make sure you get it the right way, and you just want to even up so that the edging is going to go just about up to the score line. Always put your embossing folders in the hinge side first. That's always what you want to do, otherwise it can cause it to sort of separate here, and then it might push it apart and try and break the hinged side afterwards. So just put those on top. Okay, so I can just feel some resistance now. Okay, try and get rid of that machine. That's all we need that for today. And then when we take it out, there you can see this image. Now you need to remember as well that you've got one side that's an embossed image and one side that's a debossed. Now I put that in that way thinking that's going to be my front, but actually what you have to do is turn it around. So you might like the debossed better. You can use whichever you like. I prefer to use the embossed, so I'm going to do it that way, and that's going to become my front layer. The other thing you can do is use blends or like wax, and you can rub it on, and it can, especially if this is on white, it'd look quite nice as like an old sort of garden brick wall. If you distress it with like browns or greens or beiges, that would look quite nice. Right, so that's our base. That's nice and easily done. So the next thing we're going to do then is our design layer. So we want our piece of white card. So I've decided to use the car with the presents on top image. So I'm going to use some black memento ink, and I'm just going to do it, and make sure you've got something underneath it, because you want your images to sort of come off of the edge. If it's all within your area, then it sort of looks like it's sort of not finished, if you like. So I'm going to do these at different layers. Okay, so there you can see that it looks quite nice, that it's sort of all over the thing. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do the colouring in. So what I'm going to use is my ink. So these are the colours I'm going to use: pale papaya, soft succulent, and Calypso Coral. Because this is, I suppose because it's pink, it's quite feminine, and it's got lilac on it as well. So I wanted to do something that was a bit more neutral. So what I'm going to use is the water painter. So normally you'd put water in this reservoir here. Put water in there, and then you keep squeezing it, and then it puts water onto the I've just got it everywhere now. Put water on into the brush, and I would probably say more often than that, sort of to do that if you're using watercolor paper. We're not. We're using the normal smooth white card, so we don't want it to get too wet. So for this, I would suggest just getting a little bit of water that you can dab into. Just wipe off your water a little bit, and then what we're going to do is just take some colour. What you can do is just do it on here, so you can see that it just does enough to add a bit like a water wash. And I'm just doing it quite rough, really. So I'll add a little bit more water on. And I think I might do this one down here. Okay. So now I'm going to do soft succulent. So the pale papaya is what's going to tie it into the base layer of card that we've got. So you can see that this is quite an easy way to just add some colour. Quite good for stamped flower images as well, to give it sort of a paper look, I suppose. And then the last colour is the Calypso Coral. So again, I'm just going to, so yeah, make sure your brush is clean before you add another colour. So and don't try and add too much colour onto it, and try not to push over the same piece of card too much time, especially with the water on it, because it will just make the card go a bit bobbly. So that's all we need to do there now. I might do the colour in the presents as well, actually. So I'm going to do that colour. I think I might do the those two, the orangey colour. And then last off, I shall use the pale papaya again. So there we just, so 3 colours is a really good, number of colours to use, and it just I think in art in general 3s are quite a good number. You don't like things to be too perfectly formed, I suppose. So we finished with that. Right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to add some dots. So I'm going to use the pale colour. Yes, I'll use the pale papaya. I'm just going to put some splodges. You want them to come off the edges, so it looks like it's there you go. So that's pretty much done there. Ooh, drop it. Okay, so we'll just let that dry a minute. So what we can do now is stamp our sentiment. So I've taken the Driving By just to say hi sentiment from the free Driving By. See, that's what it's called, Driving By, yeah. So I'm going to use a sentiment from there. It's quite nice. I think it's quite generic, so it's quite good if you want to give it just to somebody just to say hello. So I'm just going to put that on there. So again, I'm using the soft succulent, which is on the same colour card. And if you stamp the same colour ink on the same colour card, it will come out darker because it gets absorbed into the paper. So it's quite nice that you've got the ink and the card that matches. And then it blends in quite nicely. Okay, so I'm just going to use my trimmer. And I'm just going to... So if you try and get your stamping sentiment quite straight on your card, then you can literally just cut it with your trimmer to if I can get hold of it. Okay, so we're done with that. So we've got our base, and it's quite nice. I might put that over there because I've got green over here just to balance it out. So the last thing we want to do is add our ribbon. So what I've done on mine is I've just done a knot as opposed to doing a bow. So a knot isn't quite as feminine either. So I've literally just done a single knot, and I've also going to do it to one side because what I'm probably going to do is sort of fill that gap there. So I'm just going to do that knot there. And then what I'm going to do is where it's roughly placed, I'm going to use a pencil just to roughly mark where that is. And then I'm going to use some glue. So I prefer using the glue tape. I'm just going to put a piece of glue tape on that side and then roughly the same side there. Okay. Then again from the front, check which side of the knot you want to show. I think I want that side. So I'm going to position where I think I want it. And then all I'm going to do is tuck that behind. Okay. And then again from the front, because then you can see, you don't necessarily know that it's going to look exactly even on the back. So you want to see if it looks even from the front. So from the front, and again, then just turn that piece around and then it's stuck on there. You can either get rid of the excess or put a bit more glue on so that the ends are properly glued down. Okay, so all we want to do now, I'm going to use my silicone craft sheet. So now again I'm going to use my double-sided glue tape, and I'm just going to go over the ribbon as well because it'll help that to make sure it's stuck. Okay, so I'm going to do that at an angle, make sure it does go within your card base. And then I'm going to add, now this is some horrible stuff that I've got left over, really horrible stuff. Have I still got? Yes, I have. I'm going to use this instead. So double-sided sticky foam pads. So this will just allow it to stick up from the, where am I going to put it? Yes, I think I want to put it there. So this will allow it just to sit up from the base of the card, just to add a bit of detail and a bit of interest. So I'm going to put that there. I can see that I've got a bit of black ink here. I don't know if you can see this. It's just from the edge of the stamp that I used. So I'm going to very cleverly hide that by placing my sentiment over it. So again, I've done that on the slant. But you could easily just do the card straight as well. You don't have to do it at an angle. I think it's just a bit different to add it to that. So yes, so that is pretty much the card. Hope you've enjoyed doing that. So it could be like used for a moving house, or just a hello type card. So those are the two that I've done. So quite different impacts depending on the colours you use. And yes, I've put the ribbons at different heights and stuff. So yeah, so I hope you've enjoyed that. So again, don't forget, you can get your free products. So Driving By is one of them. This is another, actually, the Catching Butterflies. Again, this is a free set you can get with a £45 order. Definitely make use of those. Hope you enjoyed it. As always, you can find me on Pinterest and on Facebook as Amanda's Crafted Cards. And if you're interested in any of the products, then you can find them at www.amandascraftedcards.stampingup.net. Or if you've got any information, if you would like any information, then just drop me a line. Hope you've enjoyed it. Take care, and I shall speak to you soon. Bye bye.